The dying star painted everything in shades of orange and red. Its weak light touched the thousands of broken ships floating in the darkness. This was the disposal zone, the largest starship graveyard in the galaxy. The hegemony threw away their old ships here. They did not believe in fixing things. When something stopped working perfectly, they simply threw it away and built something new. Ho stood at the window of his small salvage ship, the Lucky Chance. He was a tall man of 34 years with tired eyes and rough hands. Those hands had fixed more broken machines than he could count. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. "Captain, I am picking up something big," said Sung, the youngest member of the crew. He was only 22, but he could fly a ship better than anyone Ho had ever met. Really big, about 6 kilometers to our left. Min looked up from her console. She was the ship's mechanical specialist, a woman in her late 20s with short black hair and a sharp tongue. 6 kilometers. In this junkyard, everything is big. Be more specific. "No, I mean the ship itself is big," Sung said. "Really, really big." Ho walked over to look at the scanner. His eyes went wide. The reading showed a vessel almost 2 kilometers long. That was impossible. Ships that size were not thrown away. Ships that size were treasures. "Take us closer," Ho ordered. The Lucky Chance moved through the floating debris. Broken pieces of alien ships bumped against their hull. The sound was like rain on a metal roof. As they got closer, the massive shape became clear through the orange light of the dying star. It was a warship. Not just any warship, but a command vessel from their old fleet. Its long body was shaped like a sleeping dragon. The hull was not made of metal. It was made of something that looked almost alive, dark purple and covered in patterns that looked like veins. Bioorganic technology. The most advanced thing they had ever created. "That is the Morning Star," Min whispered. "I read about it, 200 years old. It was the pride of the fleet." "What is it doing here?" Sung asked. "Its heart died," Ho said quietly. He had heard stories about these ships. They were powered by living cores, organic engines that were grown, not built. When the core died, the ship died with it. They had never found a way to bring them back to life. They do not have patience for broken things. If they cannot fix something quickly, they throw it away. Min shook her head. 200 years and they just gave up. They threw away a ship like this. "They live for thousands of years," Ho said, "but they hate waiting. They hate trying again and again. If something does not work the first time, they move on." He stared at the massive ship floating in the darkness. It looked sad. It looked forgotten. But to Ho, it also looked like an opportunity. "We are going to claim it," he said. Min turned to him with shock in her eyes. "Claim it? Captain, we cannot even begin to understand that technology. We are humans. We have been in space for only 200 years. They have been here for 10,000. "And yet they threw this away," Ho said. "Maybe they are not as smart as they think." He sent a salvage claim request to the authorities. Under galactic law, abandoned ships in disposal zones could be claimed by anyone willing to take them. He did not expect a quick response. They were famous for their slow and complicated government. But the response came in less than an hour. A face appeared on their communication screen. The alien was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and eyes that had no whites, just endless black with tiny points of silver light. They looked at Ho with something that might have been amusement. "You want the Morning Star?" they asked. Its voice was like wind through dry leaves. "Yes," Ho said. "Under salvage law, I am claiming it." They made a sound that Ho realized was laughter. "Human, that ship is dead. Its core stopped beating 2 centuries ago. We spent 50 years trying to wake it up. We failed. You think you can do better?" "I would like to try." More of that dry, rustling laughter. "Your species is so young, so foolish, so full of hope." They shook its head slowly. "Very well, we grant your claim. The Morning Star is yours. Take it. Do what you want with it. When you fail, perhaps you will learn to be more humble." The screen went dark. Sung let out a long breath. "Captain, did we just get a 2-kilometer warship for free?" "We did," Ho said. A small smile appeared on his face. "Now we just have to figure out what to do with it." They brought the Lucky Chance alongside the massive vessel. Up close, the Morning Star was even more impressive. Its hull had a strange texture, like skin stretched over bone. In some places, the surface had cracked open, showing dark spaces within. It looked like a creature that had died and dried out in the sun. "There," Min pointed. "An airlock. It is still sealed." Ho put on his space suit. Min and Sung did the same. They connected a bridge between the two ships and walked across. The airlock on the Morning Star was made of the same organic material as the hull. Ho pressed his hand against it, expecting it to be cold and dead. It was warm. "Captain," Min said quietly, "did you feel that?" He nodded. Under his palm he felt something. It was very faint, almost impossible to notice, but it was there. A tiny vibration, like a heartbeat that had slowed down almost to nothing, but not quite nothing. The airlock opened with a wet, organic sound. The air inside was stale but breathable. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, showing walls that curved like the inside of a living creature. Everything was covered in dust, but beneath the dust, those vein-like patterns still ran through the walls. They walked deeper into the ship. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. The silence was so complete that Ho could hear his own heart beating. Then they reached the core chamber. It was a massive room at the center of the ship. In the middle, floating in a cage of organic cables, was the heart of the Morning Star. It was a sphere about 10 meters across, dark and wrinkled like a dried fruit. The Had said it was dead. But as Ho watched, he saw something. A tiny pulse of light deep inside the sphere. It was so faint that he almost missed it, but it was there. "It is not dead," he whispered. "It is sleeping." Min stood beside him, staring at the core. "They gave up too soon." Ho nodded slowly. "They always do." He placed his hand on the organic wall of the chamber. The warmth was stronger here. The vibration was clearer. Somewhere deep inside this ancient ship, something was still alive. Something was still waiting. "We are going to wake it up," Ho said. "I do not care how long it takes. We are going to bring this ship back to life." Sung laughed nervously. "Captain, they could not do it in 50 years. What makes you think we can?" Ho smiled. "Because we are human, and humans do not give up." 3 months had passed since Ho claimed the Morning Star. The massive ship now floated beside Haven's Rest, a small human station at the edge of known space. The station was home to about 200 people, mostly salvagers and traders who preferred to live far from the busy center of the galaxy. Ho had called for help. He needed experts who understood organic technology. He needed people who were not afraid to work on something that everyone else had given up on. Dr. Nam Jin was the first to arrive. She was in her 40s, a quiet woman with gray streaks in her hair and eyes that seemed to see things others missed. She had spent 20 years studying alien life forms. When she heard about the Morning Star, she took the first ship she could find. Oh Dongwu came next. He was an old engineer, almost 70 years old, with a white beard and hands that shook slightly but could still fix anything. He had worked on Earth's first interstellar ships. He had seen humanity take its first steps into the galaxy. Now he wanted to be part of something historic once more. They stood together in the core chamber, looking at the massive sphere in the center. The faint pulse of light that Ho had seen was still there, still beating slowly in the darkness. "They called it dead," Jin said softly. "They were wrong." "What is it then?" Min asked. "Sleeping, hibernating." Jin walked closer to the core. She pulled out a small scanner and moved it slowly around the sphere. Numbers and charts appeared on her screen. "It is like a seed," she said finally. "When conditions are bad, seeds go dormant. They stop growing. They wait." "Wait for what?" Sung asked. "For the right conditions, for water, for sunlight, for someone to care for them." Jin looked at Ho. They tried to force the core awake. They used machines and electricity and chemicals, but this is a living thing. You cannot force a living thing to wake up. You have to make it want to wake up. Dongwu nodded slowly. His old eyes were bright with interest. I looked at the records. They tried to restart the core for 50 years, but they only tried a few times each year. They would try something, and when it did not work immediately, they would stop and think for months. Then they would try something else. He shook his head. They never really committed. They never really tried. How long will it take, Ho asked, to wake it up? Jin was silent for a long moment. I do not know, months, maybe years. This is not something we can rush. Then we do not rush it, Ho said simply. We take whatever time we need. They began their work. Jin studied the core every day, learning its patterns and rhythms. She discovered that it responded to heat, so they brought in heaters to warm the chamber. She found that it reacted to sound, so they played music, soft and gentle, for hours at a time. She noticed that the pulse grew stronger when people were nearby, so they made sure someone was always in the core chamber, talking, reading, simply being present. Dongwu and Min worked on the rest of the ship. The Morning Star was massive, and most of its systems had shut down along with the core, but they found that some things still worked. The organic material of the hull was still alive, still slowly repairing itself. The life support systems could be restarted with some effort. The ship was not dead. It was just waiting to be cared for. Weeks turned into months. The work was slow and often frustrating. There were days when nothing seemed to change. There were days when Ho wondered if they had been right all along. But there were also good days. Days when the pulse in the core grew a little stronger. Days when the walls of the ship seemed a little warmer. Days when Ho could swear he felt the ship respond to his touch. One evening, 6 months after they started, a ship arrived at Haven's Rest. Ho met the visitors at the station's docking bay. There were 3, tall and pale, wearing robes of deep blue. Their leader introduced himself as ambassador. His black eyes looked at Ho with something between curiosity and pity. "We have heard reports of your work," said. "The council sent me to observe." "You are welcome to look," Ho said. "We have nothing to hide." They took them to the Morning Star. The ambassador walked through the corridors slowly, his long fingers touching the walls. When they reached the core chamber, he stopped and stared. "It is brighter," he said. There was surprise in his voice. "The core, it is brighter than when we left it." "It is waking up," Jin said. "Slowly, but it is waking up." Turned to look at her. "We spent 50 years trying to wake that core. We are the ones who built it. We understand it far better than you ever could. How could you succeed where we failed?" "Because we are still trying," Jin said simply. "We have not given up." The ambassador made that dry, rustling sound that was laughter, but this time it did not sound as confident. "You are wasting your time, human. Even if the core wakes up, the ship will never bond with you. The Morning Star was grown for the. It knows our minds, our thoughts, our feelings. It will never accept a lesser species." "We will see," Ho said. His eyes narrowed. "There are also dangers you do not understand. These ships are not just machines. They have memories. They have emotions. The Morning Star remembers being abandoned. It remembers being thrown away like garbage. If it wakes up, it may not be grateful. It may be angry." "Then we will help it heal," Ho said. "We are good at that too." They shook his head slowly. "Young species, full of hope, full of foolishness." He turned to leave. "When this fails, do not say we did not warn you." After they left, the crew gathered in the core chamber. The visit had shaken some of them. Sung looked worried. Even Min seemed uncertain. "What if he is right?" Sung asked. "What if the ship hates us?" Ho looked at the core. The pulse was stronger now than it had been 6 months ago, brighter, more steady. He walked forward and placed his hand on the sphere. It was warm, almost hot, and for just a moment he felt something else, something that was not heat. It felt like gratitude. "This ship was abandoned," Ho said quietly. "Left alone in the darkness for 200 years. No one came to help, no one cared, and then we showed up. We did not look at it and see something worthless. We saw something beautiful, something worth saving. He turned to face his crew. They think the Morning Star will hate us because it remembers being abandoned, but I think it will love us because we are the ones who came back. Dongwu smiled. His old eyes were wet with emotion. The captain is right. This ship knows the difference between someone who throws you away and someone who picks you up. They went back to work. The months continued to pass. The core grew stronger and stronger. The ship grew warmer and warmer. And slowly, very slowly, the Morning Star began to wake. One night, almost a year after they started, Ho was alone in the core chamber. He had fallen asleep in a chair, exhausted from another long day of work. He woke up suddenly, feeling something strange. The room was brighter, much brighter. The core was glowing with a soft purple light. The veins in the walls were glowing too, carrying that light throughout the ship. And then Ho heard it, a sound, a voice, not in his ears but in his mind. "You came for me." Ho stood up slowly, his heart was pounding. "Yes," he whispered, "we came for you. The others left me here to die. We are not like the others." There was a long silence. The glow in the core pulsed slowly, like breathing, like thinking. "I know," the voice said finally. "I can feel it. You are different." Ho smiled. "Welcome back," he said. The core pulsed brighter for just a moment. And for the first time in 200 years, the Morning Star was truly alive. 18 months had passed since Ho first stepped onto the Morning Star. The ship was no longer dark and silent. Light flowed through its veins like blood through a living body. The walls were warm to the touch. The air smelled clean and fresh. The ship was alive, and it was growing stronger every day. But something else had changed too. The ship had bonded with the human crew. They had said it was impossible. They had designed these ships to work only with minds. But the Morning Star had been alone and hurt for so long that when the humans showed it kindness, it reached out to them like a child reaching for a loving parent. Ho could feel the ship's emotions now. When he walked through its corridors, he felt its happiness at having people inside it again. When he rested his hand on its walls, he felt its gratitude. The bond was not complete, but it was growing stronger every day. The news had spread across the galaxy. A dead warship had been brought back to life by humans. At first, other species did not believe it. Then curiosity turned to amazement. Ships from a dozen different civilizations came to Haven's Rest just to see the miracle for themselves. With all the attention came new people who wanted to help. One of them was Shin Bai. She arrived on a small transport ship, carrying nothing but a bag of clothes and a case full of art supplies. She was young, only 25, with paint stains on her fingers and dreams in her eyes. She had heard about the Morning Star and decided that a ship this special deserved to be beautiful. "You want to decorate it?" Min asked when Bai explained her idea. "It is a warship, not a gallery." "Everything deserves beauty," Bai said simply. "This ship was thrown away and forgotten. Now it has a second chance. It should look like it has a second chance." Ho liked the idea immediately. The ship had been cold and dark for too long. It deserved color and warmth. He gave Bai permission to do whatever she wanted. She started with the main corridor leading to the bridge. The walls were organic, covered in those vein-like patterns. Bai did not try to hide them. Instead, she worked with them. She painted flowers and trees that seemed to grow from the veins. She added images of Earth, blue oceans and green forests and white clouds. She blended human art with organic design, creating something completely new. The ship loved it. Ho could feel its joy as Bai worked. The walls seemed to glow brighter in the areas she had painted. The veins pulsed with extra light, as if the ship was showing off its new decorations. Another new arrival was Ho, a former military strategist who had retired from Earth's defense forces. He was 50 years old, with gray hair cut short and a face that rarely smiled. He had come to help organize the growing number of people working on the ship. "You have a good crew," Ho told Ho on his first day, "but you are not organized. You are working hard but not smart. Let me help you." Under Ho's guidance, the work became more efficient. Teams were assigned to different parts of the ship. Schedules were created. Goals were set. What had been a small salvage operation became a real project with a real purpose. The ship continued to heal itself. With its core fully awake, the organic material began to grow again. Damaged sections rebuilt themselves. Broken systems came back online. The Morning Star was becoming whole again. And then Ho decided it needed a new name. He gathered everyone in the main hall, a large space near the center of the ship. Bai had painted the ceiling to look like a sunrise, with orange and gold light streaming across the organic curves. Almost 100 people were there now, all the humans who had helped bring the ship back to life. "This ship was called the Morning Star," Ho said. "That was a name for death and sadness, but this ship is not dying anymore. It is alive. It is starting over. It needs a name that shows what it has become." He paused and looked around at the faces watching him. "From now on, this ship will be called the Phoenix Dawn." A cheer went up from the crowd. The ship's walls pulsed with bright light as if it was cheering too. Ho could feel its happiness flooding through the bond. It liked its new name. It liked what it meant. But not everyone was happy about what the humans had achieved. 2 weeks after the naming ceremony, a fleet appeared at the edge of the Haven's rest system. 5 warships, all of them newer and stronger than the Phoenix Dawn. At their center was a command vessel carrying Ambassador and a group of officials. They requested a meeting. Ho met them at the station, bringing Ho and Min with him. They looked different from before. There was no amusement in their eyes now, only cold anger. "The hegemony has reconsidered the matter of the Morning Star," said. His voice was hard and sharp. "We have decided that the ship must be returned to us." Ho kept his face calm. "Under what authority?" "Under the authority of its creators," another said. This one was dressed in military uniform, with markings that showed high rank. "That ship was built by the. It contains our technology, our secrets, our legacy. It does not belong in the hands of a lesser species." "We claimed it legally," Ho said. "Under galactic salvage law, you cannot simply take it back." "The law was never meant to apply to technology of this importance," said. "You were supposed to fail. You were supposed to give up like everyone else. When you succeeded, you changed everything." "We changed nothing," Ho said. "We simply did what you refused to do. We gave the ship the care and patience it needed." The military stepped forward. His black eyes burned with anger. "Do not lecture us, human. We are ancient. We built empires while your ancestors were still living in caves. That ship is ours. It will always be ours." "The ship does not agree," Ho said quietly. Silence fell over the room. They stared at him. "What did you say?" asked. "The Phoenix Dawn is alive," Ho said. "It has thoughts and feelings. It has chosen to bond with us. It does not want to go back to you." "Impossible," the military said. "It is technology. It cannot prefer humans over its creators." "You abandoned it," Ho said. "You threw it away like garbage and left it alone for 200 years. We found it. We cared for it. We brought it back to life. The ship remembers who gave up on it and who did not." His face twisted with something that might have been shame or might have been rage. "This is not over, human. The hegemony will not accept this. You have stolen something that belongs to us and we will take it back." "Is that a threat?" Ho asked. "It is a promise," the military said. "The Phoenix Dawn will be ours again, one way or another." They left without another word. Their fleet stayed at the edge of the system for 3 more days, watching, waiting. Then they disappeared into hyperspace. Ho stood at the window of the Phoenix Dawn, looking out at the stars. He could feel the ship around him, warm and alive and worried. It knew that danger was coming. It knew that the creatures who had abandoned it were now trying to take it back. "I do not want to go with them," the voice said in his mind. It sounded afraid. "Please do not let them take me." Ho placed his hand on the wall. "I will not," he promised. "You are part of our family now, and humans protect their family." The ship pulsed with warmth, with gratitude, with love. "Thank you," it said. Ho smiled sadly. He had made a promise he might not be able to keep. They were powerful. They had resources that humanity could not match. If they decided to take the Phoenix Dawn by force, there would be little he could do to stop them. But he would try. He would fight for this ship and everyone on it. Because that was what humans did. They did not give up on the things they loved. The Galactic Council met on a massive station at the center of known space. It was neutral territory, a place where all species could come to settle their disputes without violence. Hundreds of different civilizations sent representatives here. The station was a city of aliens, filled with creatures of every shape and size. Ho had never been here before. As he walked through the enormous halls, he felt very small. Humanity was one of the youngest species in the galaxy. They had only been traveling between stars for 200 years. Many of the civilizations here were thousands, even millions of years old. But he was not alone. Walking beside him was one, a human diplomat who had spent her entire career learning alien laws and customs. She was 40 years old, with sharp eyes and a calm face that never showed fear even when she felt it. She had volunteered to represent humanity in this case. "They have demanded a formal hearing," one explained as they walked. "They are claiming that we stole their property. Under galactic law, they have the right to make their case before the council." "What are our chances?" Ho asked. One considered the question carefully. "Honestly, not great. They are old and respected. Many species owe them favors. They will have friends on the council. We are young and new. Many species still think of us as children playing with things we do not understand." "But we are right," Ho said. "Being right is not always enough," one replied, "but it helps." The hearing took place in a great chamber at the heart of the station. The room was circular, with seats rising up in rings around a central platform. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats, their strange faces watching with curiosity as the humans took their place. On the other side of the platform stood the delegation. Ambassador was there, along with the military commander Ho had met before. The commander's name, he had learned, was High Commander. He was one of the most powerful military leaders in the hegemony. A being made of living crystal floated at the highest point of the chamber. This was the speaker, the leader of the council for this session. When it spoke, its voice rang like bells. "This hearing will now begin. The hegemony brings a claim against the human species. They demand the return of the vessel known as the Morning Star, which the humans call the Phoenix Dawn. Ambassador, please present your case." Stepped forward. His voice was smooth and confident. "The Morning Star is property. It was built by our engineers, powered by our technology, and crewed by our people. We disposed of it when its core failed, intending to recover it when we had the knowledge to repair it. The humans took advantage of our temporary abandonment to steal what was never theirs." "It was in a disposal zone," one said calmly. "Under galactic salvage law, any vessel left in a designated disposal zone for more than 5 years becomes open for salvage claims. The Morning Star was there for 200 years. The law was never meant to apply to technology of this importance," said. His voice was harsh and angry. "Lesser species should not have access to secrets." A murmur ran through the chamber. Several alien representatives looked unhappy at the phrase lesser species. "The law does not make exceptions based on importance," one replied. "It applies equally to all vessels. The humans followed the law exactly. We submitted proper salvage claims. We received official approval from authorities. Everything was done correctly." "We did not believe you would succeed," said. We granted the claim as a joke. We never expected you to actually restore the ship." "That is not our problem," one said. "You made a legal decision. You must live with the consequences." The debate continued for hours. They argued that the technology was too important, too dangerous for humans to control. One countered every argument with facts and laws. She was calm when they were angry, patient when they were rude. Finally, the speaker called for order. "We have heard the legal arguments. Now we wish to hear from the vessel itself. The Phoenix Dawn is a living ship with thoughts and feelings. Under galactic law, it has the right to speak." Ho had prepared for this. He pressed a button on the device he carried, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the platform. It showed a simple shape, a pattern of lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. This was the voice of the Phoenix Dawn, transmitted from Haven's Rest. "I was created by the ship said. Its voice filled the chamber, soft and warm. I served them faithfully for many years, and then my heart grew tired. I needed rest. I needed care." The lights pulsed slowly as the ship continued. "They tried to wake me for 50 years, but they did not have patience. They did not have love. When I did not wake quickly, they threw me away. They left me alone in the darkness for 200 years. I thought I would sleep forever. Then the humans came. They were small and young and weak, but they saw something in me that they did not see. They saw life. They saw hope. They stayed with me day after day. They talked to me. They cared for me. They did not give up." The lights grew brighter. "I am awake now because of them. I am alive because of them. They are my family. I do not want to go back to the ones who abandoned me. I choose to stay with the humans." Silence filled the chamber. Even the looked stunned by the ship's words. "Recovered first. The ship is confused. It has been damaged by 2 centuries of sleep. It does not know what it wants." "I know exactly what I want," the ship said firmly. "I want to be with people who love me. I want to be with people who will never throw me away." The debate continued, but Ho could see that the mood had changed. Many of the alien representatives were looking at them with new eyes. The image of a species that would abandon a living creature and then demand it back was not a good one. Finally, the speaker called for a vote. "All those who support the claim, please indicate." A few lights appeared around the chamber. Not many, maybe a quarter of the representatives. "All those who support the human claim, please indicate." Lights appeared everywhere, a clear majority. "The council has decided," the speaker announced. "The Phoenix Dawn will remain with the human crew who restored it. The salvage claim stands. This hearing is closed." Ho felt relief flood through him. They had won. The ship was safe. But when he looked at, he saw something that worried him. The High Commander was not disappointed. He was furious. And behind that fury, Ho saw something else. A dark determination that said this was not over. As the chamber emptied, walked past Ho, he stopped just close enough to whisper. "Legal games mean nothing," the High Commander said. "That ship was ours. It will be ours again. The Council cannot stop us forever." "Is that a threat?" Ho asked. Smiled coldly. "It is a fact." He walked away, leaving Ho standing alone with a victory that suddenly felt much less certain. One appeared at his side. "We won," she said. "Why do you look so worried?" "Because I do not think they will accept this decision," Ho said quietly. "I think they are going to try something else." "What can they do? The law is on our side now." Ho watched retreating form. "I do not know, but whatever it is, it will not be legal." He needed to get back to the Phoenix Dawn. He needed to prepare for what was coming. Because the High Commander had not looked like someone who had lost. He had looked like someone who was about to fight. The attack came 3 weeks after the Council's decision. Ho had known it was coming. He just did not know when. He was on the bridge of the Phoenix Dawn when the alarm started. Sung sat at the pilot's station, his hands steady even as warning lights flashed across his screens. 10 warships dropping out of hyperspace, Sung reported. They are coming in fast. Min looked up from her station. They are jamming our communications. We cannot call for help. Ho stood in the center of the bridge, feeling the ship's fear through their bond. The Phoenix Dawn had never been in combat. It was 200 years old, and for most of that time it had been sleeping. Its weapons were untested. Its defenses were unknown. But they had no choice. They would have to fight. All hands prepare for battle, Ho said calmly. Ho, take command of our defense teams. Min, I need everything you can get from the engines. Sung, get ready to fly like you have never flown before. The fleet moved into attack formation. At its center was Flagship, a massive warship bristling with weapons. His voice came through on an open channel. Humans, you have one chance to surrender. Give us the ship and we will let you live. Resist and you will all die. Ho touched the wall of the bridge. He felt the ship's response, warm and steady. It was scared, but it trusted him. It would fight for its family. We do not surrender, Ho said. The Phoenix Dawn has chosen to be with us. If you want it, you will have to take it. So be it, said. Your species will learn the price of defying The attack began. Energy beams cut through space, slamming into the Phoenix Dawn's shields. The ship shook, but the shields held. Ho could feel the ship working, its bioorganic systems responding to the damage, adapting, learning. Return fire, Ho ordered. The Phoenix Dawn's weapons came alive for the first time in 200 years. Beams of purple light shot from ports along its hull. They were strong, stronger than anyone expected. 2 ships were hit immediately, their shields flickering under the impact. Direct hits, Min reported, surprise in her voice. Their shields are weakening. Sung threw the ship into a complex evasion pattern, spinning through space to avoid incoming fire. The Phoenix Dawn responded to his commands perfectly, as if it knew what he wanted before he even touched the controls. The bond between ship and crew was making them faster, smarter, better than they should have been. But there were still 10 enemy ships, and only one of them. More coming in from the left, Sung warned. I cannot dodge them all. Ho closed his eyes and reached out through the bond. I need your help, he said to the ship. I need you to show me what you can really do. There was a moment of silence. Then he felt the ship respond. Something deep in its core began to change. New systems came online, systems that had been dormant for centuries. The Phoenix Dawn was waking up parts of itself that even the had forgotten about. The hull began to shift. New weapon ports opened along its surface. The shields changed color, becoming stronger and more flexible. The engines roared with new power. What is happening? Min asked in amazement. The ship is adapting, Ho said. It is becoming what we need it to be. The battle changed. The Phoenix Dawn was no longer just defending. It was attacking with a fury that shocked Its weapons found weaknesses in their shields that should not have been visible. Its movements predicted their attacks before they happened. It fought like a living creature, creative and unpredictable and fierce. 3 more ships fell, then another 2. The enemy formation began to break apart as commanders panicked. Impossible, his voice roared over the open channel. That ship cannot do this. It is old and weak. It is old, Ho agreed. But it is not weak. It was just waiting for someone to believe in it. The remaining ships tried to run. The Phoenix Dawn caught them, disabling their engines one by one without destroying them. Ho did not want to kill more than he had to. He wanted this to end with as little death as possible. Finally, only his flagship remained. It was damaged and drifting, its weapons offline. Ho could have destroyed it easily. Instead, he opened a channel. High Commander, your fleet is defeated. Your ships are disabled. You can surrender or you can die. The choice is yours. There was a long silence. Then his voice came through, thick with rage and shame. I surrender. Hours later, rescue ships arrived. The Galactic Council had received word of the attack and sent a peacekeeping force. They found the fleet drifting helplessly around a human station, defeated by a single ship that should not have been able to fight at all. Was taken into custody. He would face trial for violating galactic law, for attacking a peaceful station, for trying to steal what was no longer his. The hegemony would pay a heavy price for his actions. But the real victory was not about politics or punishment. It was about what the humans had proven. 3 months later, a ceremony was held at Haven's Rest. Ships from across the galaxy came to see the Phoenix dawn, no longer a forgotten wreck, but a symbol of what was possible when someone refused to give up. The ship's hull gleamed with health and life. Bai's paintings decorated its surface, now beautiful images that could be seen from space. The organic patterns flowed around her art, as if the ship itself was proud of its new appearance. Ho stood on the main observation deck looking out at the gathered crowds. Beside him stood his crew, the people who had believed in this ship when no one else did. Min Sung, Jin, Dongwu, Bai Ho, One, and all the others who had helped along the way. An alien ambassador, one of the species that had voted in their favor at the council, approached Ho with curiosity in its many eyes. "How did you do it?" the ambassador asked. "How did you take something that the called worthless and turn it into something so powerful?" Ho thought about the question carefully. "We did not do anything special," he said finally. "We just saw potential where others saw failure. We believed in something that everyone else had given up on, and we never stopped trying." The ambassador made a sound that might have been approval. Other species are asking now. They have their own abandoned ships, their own forgotten technology. They want human help to bring them back to life. Ho smiled. "Then we will help them. That is what we do." Later that evening, when the crowds had gone and the station was quiet, Ho walked alone through the corridors of the Phoenix Dawn. The ship hummed around him, warm and content. Their bond was stronger than ever now. He could feel its happiness as clearly as his own. He reached the bridge, where the main window looked out at the stars. Haven's Rest floated nearby, a small station that had become the center of something much larger. And beyond it, the endless darkness of space, full of possibilities. Min's voice came from behind him. "So, Captain, what now?" Ho did not turn around. He just smiled at the stars. "Now we find another broken ship, another forgotten thing that deserves a second chance." He finally looked at his second in command. "And we do it all over again." Min laughed. "You are going to need a bigger salvage yard." The Phoenix Dawn pulsed with light, and Ho could have sworn he heard the ship laughing too. Yes, the voice in his mind agreed, much bigger. And somewhere out there in the darkness, a distress signal began to pulse. Another forgotten vessel, another chance to prove what humans could do. The crew of the Phoenix Dawn was ready.